Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, yeah, Finebaum wants Bobo fired. He is not pleased with Georgia's offense. And GOLESH has made an offer to the Vols, which you might find very interesting. But without further ado, let's get right on into this thing.
The suspense is terrible. He's going to go this time. I hope it'll last.
All right, Paul Finebaum went on a show a couple days ago, and he was talking all about Georgia's offense and their lack of scoring and the problems they've had with turnovers and all that sort of stuff. And he pretty much called out Mike Bobo. Now, Bobo replaced Todd Monken, and Monken's probably the best offensive coordinator Georgia's ever had. He is a fantastic offensive coordinator. He went to the Ravens, and by the way, he just signed an extension. He's been there 2 years. They have the #1 offense in the NFL. And he's been working with Lamar Jackson, who, look, he's turned him into a tremendous quarterback. And look what he did for Stetson Bennett. This is a guy that was a walk-on. Monken gets a hold of him, and they win 2 national titles. And for some reason, and I can't understand this for the life of me, Kirby Smart let Todd Monken walk and go to the NFL. I would have thrown so much money at that guy, and Kirby's making like $13 million a year, and I think Monken was maybe making 2 or 3. I was like, man, pay that guy 4. Don't let the NFL take him. I mean, they're coming off 2 natties. But I would say what happened there, if I had to guess, Kirby thought, it's my defense that's winning national titles. If he doesn't want to stay, let him go. I'll bring in Mike Bobo and everything will be fine. Now, they played together. They were teammates, Bobo and Smart. And I think it's even been reported they were roommates. So they're tight. So loyalty is a big part of that. And that's one of the things that Finebaum called out. He said he's letting loyalty creaking because they're outside the top 50 in offense. The year before, in 2023, they were really good on offense. Carson Beck was playing great. And then this year, it just kind of went downhill for them, for Georgia. I mean, look, there's plenty of teams that have been happy with being, where their offense was, but not if you're trying to win a national title. And their defense did carry them, which, look, they've always got a great defense. But anyway, I'm going to let you hear what Paul Finebaum said about it. And, he was pretty straight up. And this is a radio show called Cellini and Domino. I've never heard this before. Let me see what they do. Let's see. Air weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the Fan 680 and 93.7. So let's take a listen.
Yeah, I'm not blaming the Sugar Bowl loss on Gunnar Stockton, but he didn't exactly knock me over. I frankly believe Georgia's problem is at the offensive coordinator's position. I think Kirby Smart, for as great as I believe he is, and I know you guys agree, is being way too loyal to Mike Bobo, and I would get rid of Bobo today. I think that was the frustrating part of last season. And Georgia was good; they just weren't great. And I think when you compare them to the last couple of years, they still did okay, but okay isn't good enough at Georgia anymore. Georgia is the new Alabama. The expectations are to play for the title every year.
So we have a general rule around here, though. If you're going to say fire a guy or replace a guy, do you have anybody in particular in mind, or is it the Georgia job and Kirby can pretty much go pull whatever fish he wants and bring him into the boat?
I mean, I think you could walk down Peachtree Street and get a better offensive coordinator than Bobo, but I know I sound like a Finebaum caller now.
Jeez, hold on. How long have you thought that? And have you ever worded it quite that way?
No, I try to think about where I am, and I may have picked the wrong street, but that is one of the most famous streets in Atlanta.
Well, I mean, Mike Bobo, fair or unfair, a lot of people do seem to be targeting him, and the Georgia fan base is saying the same thing. He's a victim of loyalty here. So I think a lot of people, as controversial as it may seem, I think a lot of people would agree with you as well.
But you said you can go down the street, a guy's waiting for a bus. You go into a food court at a mall, and you can find somebody better. You do sound like a Paul Finebaum caller.
Anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, Smart's not going to fire Bobo. He's going to stick with him. And for the SEC, that's a good thing. I'm glad Monken has signed an extension. That's a good thing. We don't want him coming back to Georgia. And Bobo is not a bad coordinator. He's just not in Monken's league. And Kirby's okay with that, and so be it. But anyway, we'll see how Gunnar Stockton does this year. They're putting obviously a lot of weight into that position, and they think he'll be fine. He wasn't as good as Carson Beck, or he would have been starting. So anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting take that Finebaum had. I would probably let him go, honestly. I would go spend the money and try to find somebody in a similar ilk to Monken. But that's me. Maybe he'll get it turned around this year. I hope it's not against my Vols. And speaking of the Vols, like that segue, Alex Golesh has made a not-so-subtle suggestion to Danny White that will possibly help after Tennessee got totally screwed over by Nebraska. Now, if you haven't, been keeping up with the Vols, Nebraska backed out with 1 year remaining. We're 1 year away from 2026 of playing Nebraska. They backed out. And we were supposed to play a home and home. 1 year at Tennessee, 1 year at Nebraska. They backed out of both games, which put Tennessee in a huge lurch because we can't just go and get some MAC teams like they did. We have to have a Power 4 conference team to play. Nebraska replaced us with Bowling Green and Miami of Ohio. So obviously, Matt Rule over in Nebraska has chickened out. He didn't want any part of Tennessee, and he took a couple of MAC teams instead. And he's also backed out of the spring game because he's scared to death somebody might poach one of his players. And they only had 60,000 people show up for that spring game, so he totally creaked his fan base as well. But, hey, when you're chicken, that's what you do. Anyway, Alex Golesh has offered up his team, and he put on X, Golesh did, he said, come to the Bay. And USF, he's the head coach there, obviously, and he took that job after doing a great job for Tennessee. We were number one in offense, number one in scoring. And, of course, it's a Josh Heupel offense, but Alex was running it for him. And he's done well down there at USF and had a good record. And they've played Alabama a couple times, so, they're not afraid to play a great team. And they gave Alabama a run. And they also played Miami. So I wouldn't mind at all playing them. That would be perfectly fine with me. And it would be really cool to watch Heupel go against Golesh with very similar offenses, obviously, which is the spread and shoot and all that. But, again, the problem is we need a Power 4 team, not a AAC team, which that's their conference they're in. So that wouldn't work for us currently. So probably what Tennessee should do is just sit back for a minute because the Big Ten and SEC just got done meeting, and it's possible in 2026 we'd be going to a 9-game conference schedule, and that may not turn out to be a huge issue because if that's the case, we're not going to be stuck with a Power 4. We could probably just add anybody at that point, and we're not, creaked and not have to lose a home game. Because if we have to go to a Power 4 team, we're probably going to have to go to a neutral spot, which means we lose a home game, which is very detrimental to the city of Knoxville. That's why I'm so pissed off at Nebraska and Matt Rule for this, because it really hurts the town of Knoxville and the entire area, and it can cost people jobs. But Matt doesn't give a crap because he's too much of a damn chicken.
I fart in your general direction.
Anyway, I got out a lot of my anger yesterday over that, so I'm going to try to stay calm this time. But anyway, I do appreciate Alex Golesh, and you know what? Hey, if it turns out we go to a 9-game schedule, we could still include them. I'd love to play USF. That'd be fine. I think that would be a great game and be very exciting for Tennessee Vols fans and definitely for the USF fans. So anyway, I thought that was cool of Alex to do that. Obviously, they're friends and, hey, just trying to help out where he can. Oh, and SEC basketball, Tennessee did win today against Texas A&M, a top 10 matchup. It was a good game. Texas A&M's tough on defense. Good grief, they were giving us we had so many shot clock violations. It was crazy. We couldn't get a shot off. But anyway, they did pull out the win, and Chaz Lanier was hot as fire. He scored a ton of points. Anyway, here's the SEC standings right now. Of course, Auburn's number one in the country, number one in the SEC, which is kind of the same thing right now. The SEC's been nuts good this year. Florida, then Alabama. Alabama's lost 2 in a row. Florida's on a run. They've won 5 in a row since losing to Tennessee. Missouri's been on a great run. They're 9-4. Tennessee's 9-5. Texas A&M is also 9-5 after that loss. Ole Miss is doing well. Look at Mississippi State. There's Kentucky. Dadgum, Kentucky burned our playhouse down this year. Dang. How do we lose twice to them? And you know Nick Roush is loving that. Ugh. Roush. And then Vanderbilt 17-9, even though they're 5-8 in the SEC, they got a great chance of getting in the NCAA tournament. Texas does as well. Then it gets tough. Georgia and Arkansas, it doesn't look so good for them. Oklahoma's probably out. LSU's out. And then South Carolina. Oh, my gosh. 0-13. That is pathetic. How? They were a good team last year, and I've thought about what I think it is. I think it's a lack of support on YouTube is what's creaking South Carolina. See, they got Jackpot over there, supposed to be the number one South Carolina guy, and he's not covering them very well. And it's probably that lack of support. So clearly, this is on Jackpot's lap, and he's probably one of those Uncle Lou disciples where, he doesn't think basketball matters. It's only about football. But anyway, this is clearly on Jackpot. That's all it can be.
Oh, this is going to get damn ugly right here.
Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all those big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, hit this little button, right? Cheer. Won't cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. And right over here's the most recent video. YouTube, thanks, you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.